Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. This is the kitty of the day, Jeff, the fan favorite furry fella. Now, if you like seeing my hot takes a day, Monday through Friday around 11 a.m. Eastern, that's a goal. We don't always make it. Or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning, everybody. We got plenty to go through today. We're going to be starting off, as always, with, we'll start off with some of the, God, I'm having a brain fart, with Icebreaker type content, more fun, funny, gen pop, that sort of shtick, and then we'll go into, then we'll get into the foreign policy, and then from there we'll go into the main topics of the day. We got Mike Cuckabee, his name was Austin Tucker Martin being our second segment, and then our final segment, Lucky Lutnick. So kind of backtracking. I know we've done a little bit of coverage of Lutnick already, but we're going back into it. We got plenty more to say about him. More stuff has happened. In between each segment, we usually will pop into the chat, say hello, say good morning. I do try to give everybody an obligatory good morning, and then after that, it becomes you either need to catch my interest or catch my wallet, so you guys can drop super chats, but I do, and if something's interesting, I'll bring it up. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into our icebreaker content. Let's see, what do we got? Let's start off today with an out-of-context Trump clip, because those are quite great. Hopefully you guys get some joy out of this as well. Here we go. Let's see if we can't figure out. Oh, my God, you got to be kidding me. All right, give me a second. StreamYard glitched out literally the second I brought the thing up. So give me one more moment. This is great. All right, here we go. Here's Trump out of context. Let's see if we can figure out what this is all about.
Of course, I don't think this plane's big enough to take the press in this room, but a lot of the press right here. We're in Georgia, and he said to the owner, I made a speech at a factory. They make steel products, and I said, how are you? Nice to meet you. How's business? President, I'd love to kiss you. This is a very powerful man. I don't want to be kissed by that man, but a very powerful, strong man. He's been in the steel business for many years. His father started it. And he said, sir, I want to kiss you. I said, why? He said, because we were down to working 1 hour a week, and then you came in and imposed tariffs, and all of that foreign junk that they were dropping into our country stopped. And we're now going to double shifts, 7 days a week, and we may be very soon going to 24 hours around the clock, almost 7 days a week. He said, sir, I want to kiss you so badly. And I said, no, thank you. But you know what? Of course, I don't.
All right, who cares? We're not going to figure out what the context is about. We're just going to leave it contextless. You guys can figure out something about the Supreme Court, yada, yada, yada. But whatever, Trump talking about kissing a man. Speaking of another instance of Trump kissing men, here is a clip. This is actually, I think, from, what was it, 2020, 2022, something like that. This is actually from a previous visit by Netanyahu, but this made the rounds again recently on social media. A lot of people, I think, were fooled thinking this was more recent because it does kind of fit a lot into recent trends. But here is I think a few years ago, it might have been the previous administration, I guess, if I'm doing the math in my head, I don't know, but it wasn't the most recent Netanyahu visit, but apparently Trump has actually granted Netanyahu the keys to the country at one point, which you would think that'd be a little bit over the top, but no, they did this a long time ago. Here you go.
This was a special token of affection given by myself and the First Lady to Prime Minister and the First Lady of Israel, and it's a key. We call it a key to the White House, and it's a key to our country and to our hearts. And you've been an amazing leader for a long period of time, and this is, in many respects, the big day, because this is something that's very special. And we just left UAE and Bahrain. We're going to meet outside in a ceremony, and it's just a very important event, and it's an honor to have you with us, baby. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I have said, and this is true, that you have the key to the hearts of the people of Israel because of all the great things you've done for the Jewish state and the Jewish people. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Love that. This was a special token of affection.
All right, and let's move on. Let's check out this other clip that's been doing the rounds of an angry lady, and I feel like this fits the theme of the segments we're going to be going through today. I haven't watched this yet. Let's watch it together. Let's see. Is this annoying lady energy? Does she have a point? But essentially, she's accusing some local group, or I don't know if these are local politicians, someone of being pedos. This is San Diego. Let me see. It says right here, Board of Supervisors meeting, County News Center. This is where they're speaking on item 12, and improving an ordinance amending Article, what is that, 15B of the San Diego County Administrative Court related to Health and Human Services charges and fees. I think what she's about to bring up has nothing to do with that, but let's watch this together.
I am wondering if you are all pedophiles because you don't seem to care that children are being sexually abused. So the only thing I could ascertain is that you guys probably enjoy child porn. I don't know, right? You're not looking. I mean, if somebody claimed that I was, I would say, I absolutely am not. I wouldn't let it stand as fact, but you guys love to let it stand as fact that that's what's going on because you're not willing to stop it. So, I mean, if you're willing to perpetuate it, what else could you be? You're going to shake your head, then do something about it. No, Monica, you're not a pedophile. Then why aren't you doing anything about the child abuse that's happening in the county? Because you don't care. If you cared, you would want to stop it. If you cared if it happened to your child, you'd want to stop it. If it happened to you, you'd want to stop it. Jim, what if it happens to your grandchild? What if? Would it matter then? Probably, right? It's so horrible to think about. Right.
Next speaker, please.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I have no idea. We're missing a lot of context here. So it's all able to share this. I think this is great. This could be an awesome takedown. It could be absolutely fucking retarded. I have no idea. I need more context, especially since the only context I have right here is their meeting in a Board of Supervisors meeting to discuss an ordinance about Health and Human Services charges and fees. Now maybe this, I don't know. Maybe there's this thing going on, whatever locality this is, that really ties into whatever. I mean, this would really hit hard if this was Congress, in relation to maybe not Congress. I don't know exactly what political body, but something on the federal level. But this is clearly something on like some local level. So I don't know. It kind of gives me a little bit of a I don't even know how to say it. A little. I wouldn't say crazy energy, just like a really mad lady, jilted. And maybe she has a good reason to be jilted, but maybe she's just psycho. You never fucking know. So I have a hard time jumping on the bandwagon of this one, considering I don't know shit about this. Let's peruse the comments. Maybe there's something in here clarifying. No one cares. Just everyone jumping on. Okay, whatever. Either way, I guess fun. We'll just kind of in our heads, kind of vaguely situate that with the understanding of the Epstein stuff, even though she could be being an entirely a lunatic at some school board meeting or something, or whatever the fuck this was. But whatever, let's pop into the chat, say some good mornings. Who knows? Maybe it's some hero shit. I really need more context here. But let's roll through the chat, say some good mornings, then we'll get into foreign policy. Then we'll have some Mike Cuckabee clips to go through. We'll be talking about Austin Tucker Martin doing some crazy shit, and then old Lucky Lutnick. And do a reminder, I do timestamp this stuff later, so that way You don't have to. That way, if you just want to pop to a different topic, or if you don't want to listen to the chatter between the chat, which I usually try to keep towards the end of each segment. That way you just kind of, once we get there, just pop on to the next timestamp. But with that, let's roll through chat. Say some good mornings. Good morning, comment mama. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. As you're popping in, please like the stream, especially if you're on Twitter, because Twitter's been glitchy lately. If you are someone who likes to watch on Twitter, I mean, you probably already know this because I don't know how you would have found it otherwise, but if you are a Twitter watcher, with it's been glitchy and it won't kind of generate the tweet or generate it correctly, and it makes you manually upload it. So I've just been attaching it to the promotion that I put out on Twitter for the show, which maybe it's not the greatest idea because promotions are automatically deboosted. So maybe I'm screwing myself by putting it in there, but it just makes the most sense. So if you are a Twitter watcher, you can just pop on over to my page, and I'll usually have retweeted it and posted it shortly, right as the show's going. So just pop over there and look for it there. But and help a brother out, hit the like button, retweet, all that, because it's been glitchy. So it's kind of deboosting it a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Twitter seems fake to me. So, but whatever. Let's pop through. Keep saying good morning. Good morning, my comment mama. Good morning. Hey, say what now? Good morning, Brandon Kramer. Good morning, William Miller. Good morning, Shovelhead. Good morning, Cower Gang NPC. Good morning, Johnny Shanks a lot. Good morning, Lance Ripa. It says it's the key to El Mencho's car. I don't get that reference. Good morning, Retardo Genio. Good morning, Billy Macabre. Macabre. Is it macabre? It's an M-A-C. The R is silent, I think. Yeah. So that lady at the council, legend for calling them pedos. I kind of yeah, that's my intuition, is anytime someone's calling a politician a pedophile, I'm kind of instinctually on their side, but I kind of do need a little more context. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning. Gerald saying, but the Dow was over 50,000. So yeah. With that, the lady should be keeping your mouth closed because the Dow is over 50,000. So, good morning, Tilla Spooks, and Guten Morgen, Marcy Knight, churchofchrist.org. Go over there. If you're going to be a religious feller, you may as well be a based one, I guess. Good morning, Jorge says Dumper is going to dump. Tilla's saying his Wi-Fi is being goofy, saying I might have to watch it later. Hey guys, let me know. Make sure it's not me, and maybe that's just Tilla's Wi-Fi and not mine. But if I'm having any connection issues, let me know. It's not showing on my end that everything's running smoothly. But all right, let's roll into foreign policy. And yeah, so hit that like button as you're rolling in, people, and we'll get into more stuff. As always, you can drop a super chat to support the show, or in the top right-hand corner, we have a QR code there to support the show over on Patreon, and then you can get a bunch of perks there. For example, on my paywalled episodes, which there's a bunch right now. I've been really bad about publishing those recently, so they're kind of hanging out behind the paywall. I'm gonna get on that. I'm gonna get on that soon. But in the meantime, patrons, you get that extra little perk of the extra stuff behind the paywall. See, comment mama saying good, cool. So it's good on my end. So it's just Tilla. Sorry, Tilla. I guess you'll catch us on the next go round. We'll see you then. All right, let's get into foreign policy. We got a lot of wild stuff going on in the world today. I got Witkoff saying Trump is curious why Iran hasn't capitulated. Says U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff said in an interview with Fox News that aired on Sunday that President Trump was curious that Iran hasn't capitulated to U.S. demands due to the major U.S. military buildup in the Middle East and threats of war. He says, I don't want to use the word frustrated because Trump understands he has plenty of alternatives, but he's curious. He's curious as to why they haven't. I don't want to use the word capitulated, but they haven't capitulated, Witkoff told Fox News host Laura Trump, the president's daughter-in-law. Imagine getting even any more of a patty cake sort of interview. Says why, under this sort of pressure, with the amount of sea power and naval power that we have over there, why they haven't come to us and said, we profess that we don't want a nuclear weapon, so here's what we're prepared to do. Yet it's hard to get them to that point, Witkoff said. Tehran's official position is that it doesn't seek nuclear weapons, and the development of such weapons is banned by a fatwa issued by Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And Iranian leaders have repeatedly professed that they don't seek a nuclear bomb. According to media reports, Iran has offered a deal that would involve it suspending its uranium enrichment program for 3 to 5 years and later starting it at a civilian-grade level far below the 90% needed for weapons grade as part of a joint nuclear program with regional countries. Iran has also publicly offered to dilute its stockpile of uranium enriched at 60%, though it's likely buried underground following the U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Despite the U.S. bombing these facilities, which forcibly suspended Iran's nuclear enrichment, and President Trump's insistence that the U.S. obliterated Iran's nuclear program, Witkoff made the false claim that Iran could have uranium to make a bomb within 1 week. Man, they really missed out with calling it Iranium. I just realized that. They could have really dialed up the scale factor even more. They're probably a week away from having industrial bomb-making material, Witkoff claimed, facing no pushback from Lara Trump. The U.S. envoy also confirmed that he recently met with Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Iranian Shah, who was overthrown in 1979, as the Trump administration has made clear its ultimate goal is regime change in Tehran. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said on Sunday that he expects to hold another round of negotiations with Witkoff and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, this Thursday in Geneva. So not looking good, and once again, it's kind of been my vibe for a while now. I'm sick and tired of everyone sucking off Witkoff as if he's this amazing peace bringer, as if like he's some positive. No, it's been pretty clear that we've seen little bits here and there. This is probably the most glaring example of like what a fucking piece of shit. So here he is saying, they're about a week away from having industrial bomb-making material. There's nothing to that. There's no proof of that. Doesn't provide any. Also behaving as if, it's crazy. They won't even come. From my understanding, they've been dodgy about their terms. They've been kind of all over the place with it. So it seems like a repeat of the 12-day war stuff. And yeah, it's pretty clear in my opinion where Witkoff is at on this. It seems just posturing for another foreign entanglement. Surprise, surprise. Speaking of which, we've killed another 3 in the latest boat strike. This is in the eastern Pacific Ocean. More murder on the high seas. Great stuff. And sorry, I got to turn up my phone. Been getting a lot of spam calls lately. Probably feds. Who knows? I don't check my voicemail though, so it's probably chock full of death threats. Who knows? Who cares? I just don't answer phone numbers I don't recognize for fear of that. You never know. If I can't hear the threat, then it's like it never happened. So that's the beauty of it. Just be a Luddite, and then I can just say whatever the fuck I want. All right, moving on. This has been a story that I've seen a lot of people talking about over the weekend, talking about cartel violence going on over in Mexico. Apparently, the Mexican army killed the leader of the cartel, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, during an operation to capture him. Let's read a few paragraphs on this. It says, this is over at the Associated Press. It says, the Mexican army killed the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, Nemesio Ruben Oseguero Cervantes, El Mencho. Oh, El Mencho! Okay, I got the reference from earlier. There you go. That dude is a fun fucking name. Nemesio Ruben Oseguero Cervantes. Man, that's a nice name. I want that name. On Sunday, decapitating what had become Mexico's most powerful drug cartel and thrusting swaths of the nation into chaos. The drug lord was the Mexican government's biggest prize yet to show the Trump administration in its efforts to crack down the cartels, and his death was met with a forceful reaction from the cartel, known by its Spanish initials CJNG. Now, I would hazard, I don't really know enough about Mexican, politics and like kind of the web that's weaved behind it all, like in the shadows. But I do know a little bit, and I know that this broad, the president of Mexico, she ended up that way after what was it like? It was something insane. It was literally like double digits or something crazy of her. I guess you could say, her associates or competitors in the election that just dropped dead. So, I know this is like, oh, cool, they're stopping cartels, but it's kind of like, yeah, but it's just, what is it? I feel like it's just one cartel stopping another cartel. So, who's to, I'm not team cartel at all, but, I don't know. For the revelations I guess I've kind of known this shit for a while, but a lot of people are coming around to where I'm at after a lot of this Epstein stuff. It's kind of like, hey, maybe you should shift your perspective when you see stuff like this. Then you factor in all the other stuff that we've been doing overseas, all the all the murder on the high seas that like I just covered a moment ago. Kind of makes you wonder, is it really just a consolidation of power? Because it's like, and even that's kind of like fucked up, because it's like, especially when we cover these blowing up boats in the ocean, they're mostly like what look to be like fishermen. I mean, yeah, some of them might be, but either way, like even if you do accept that it's like, so it's usually like fishermen is what it seems like. They're doing like little deals here and there, possibly, or maybe even then some of the lower guys that are trafficking stuff. But it's like these are lower level dudes, and they're being blown away by like the sophisticated cartel. So, I mean, I guess that's government for you. But I don't know. I find it interesting if you think about all this in that sort of perspective. And I don't know. Let's be real. They're probably moving just as much drugs, just maybe differently. Let me see. Cars burned out by cartel members blocked roads at more than 250 points in 20 Mexican states, authorities said. It left smoke billowing into the air. Jalisco's capital, Guadalajara, was turned into a ghost town Sunday night as civilians hunkered down. School was canceled Monday in several states. Authorities in Jalisco, Michoacan, and Guanajuato reported at least 14 dead, including 7 National Guard troops. Okay, well, geez, getting serious over there. Cervantes was wounded in an operation to capture him Sunday in Tapalpa, Jalisco, about a 2-hour drive southwest of Guadalajara, and he died while being flown to Mexico City. The Defense Department said in a statement, state is the base of the cartel, known for trafficking huge quantities of fentanyl and other drugs to the U.S. So, okay. During the operation, troops came under fire and killed 4 people at the location. 3 more people, including Cervantes, were wounded and later died. The statement said 2 others were arrested, and armored vehicles, rocket launchers, and other arms were seized. Man, they're fucking rolling deep within the cartel. 3 members of the armed forces were wounded and receiving medical treatment. A Jalisco state official who requested anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly said a member of the National Guard died in Talpapa during the operation. 6 other National Guard members died in Zapopan beside Guadalajara. A jail guard was killed at a lockup in Puerto Vallarta where prisoners rioted, and an agent from the Jalisco State's prosecutor's office was killed in Guadalajara. Details were not immediately available. Okay, so it sounds like a lot of retribution occurring all at once is what it sounds like they're describing. Karen Leavitt said on X that the U.S. government provided intel for the operation. El Mencho was a top target for the Mexican and U.S. government. As one of the top traffickers of fentanyl into our homeland, she wrote. She commended Mexico's military for its work. All right, well, that's wild stuff. Now, one thing how this came to my attention initially, the first way I even heard of it was this buffoonish fucking tweet from Senator Mike Lee that I guess he's deleted now. He took a picture of one of these attacks, because there was a clip that went around. I don't know if they killed the people, and I didn't really watch it because I don't really want to see it. But either way, it's these people roll up roll up to this gas station and guns and stuff, and these are cartel. I think they might have killed the guy, but I don't know. As soon as I got the vibe, it might have been some sort of killing thing. I don't want to watch it. I don't like that stuff, but I get the idea. Mike Lee then captions it. So this is like cartel violence, some sort of video of it. In kind of like what seems like normal everyday life type situation. Somebody just chilling at the pump, and then the cartel just rolls up and do whatever they do in this situation. Like I said, I didn't watch the full clip. I don't have it ready for you guys because I don't really want to watch a snuff video with you guys anyways. But that's kind of beside the point. The Michael Lee captions it with, "Cartel hitmen wear masks. Leftists aren't complaining." Obviously, making reference to a lot of the people who've complained about ICE and their wearing of masks and stuff. And it's, wow, holy shit. Like, even if you are pro ICE or whatever, it's like, what the fuck are you doing here, dude? What are you doing, Mikey? Like, what is this? And multiple people, just giving the worst people the easiest W's here. For example, Chuck Schumer says, yes, cartel hitmen wear masks. That's why ICE shouldn't, obviously. Chris Murphy, whoever, I guess some dude in Connecticut. "Oh dear, Mike, I literally couldn't make our argument better than you do. The bad guys wear masks. The good guys don't." And then Brian says, "Mike, I would like ICE to have the same standards as a local police department, not cartel hitsmen." This is Brian Schatz. Fun name. And yeah, now I guess he's supposedly deleted. So Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the point. Is that if you're basically indiscernible from a cartel, then it's like, are you making the case that maybe normal citizens should, I don't know, be prepared for street violence from the authorities and be prepared to fight back? Like, what are you saying here? Like, this is crazy redcoat shit. Like, like, if you're trying to be like, oh, well, the leftists aren't complaining when they do the. Well, I mean, because for one, they don't live in fucking Mexico. Like, not probably it for me to stand up for the lefties here, but they don't live in Mexico. Like, and also, if this was, I almost guarantee damn near any lefty, if the cartel was, if they were given this, this video and go, what do you think of this? I go, that's bad. Like, who the fuck's gonna go? What person is like, you know what? Well, I can't even like wrap my head around the theoretical argument of how they would come to support the cartel in some given situation. I mean, they might be like, well, the government has somehow allowed this to proliferate in the way that it has or whatever. But you're not going to find people, I don't know, going, oh yeah, street violence, just gets unsuspecting individuals. Great. And that's exactly why we're kind of not cool with a lot of the ICE stuff going on right now. Moving on, apparently Israel's kicking shit off big time over in Lebanon. At least 12 have been killed and dozens wounded in Israeli strikes on eastern Lebanon. So a flurry of Israeli strikes on Friday and into Saturday, centered in the Bekaa Valley in the eastern Lebanon, have left at least 12 people dead and over 30 wounded, including a large number of civilians. At least 3 children were reportedly among the casualties. The strikes in Bekaa Valley struck what is described as a Hezbollah command center in the village of Rayak and killed 8 Hezbollah members. And Hezbollah confirmed that included Mohammed Yaghi, a high-ranking Hezbollah military figure. The IDF claimed that when they carried out the attack, Hezbollah was operating to accelerate readiness and force buildup processes while planning fire attacks toward Israel. Operating to accelerate readiness, which anyone who spent any time in the military or just like, I don't know, can understand words. All that readiness is that you're prepared. If anything, that's defensive, force buildup processes. So planning fire attacks while planning fire attacks. And that last one, that's a hinge there. The inclusion of the first thing, operating to accelerate readiness, and then including planning fire attacks, it makes me far more apt to believe that when they're talking about fire attacks, they're talking about with a defensive posture. They're essentially running exercises of what do we do if we come under attack from Israel and we need to fire back, which they have not been doing. Once again, as is very apt to happen with Israel, they're the first ones to strike because, well, they were totally going to strike us, despite the fact that they haven't, despite having every fucking good reason to, for years and years and years now, particularly, especially in regard to the treatment of the Gazans, and really just how they've been treating Lebanon, how they've been treating the entire region. Hezbollah has every fucking reason to give Israel hell, yet they haven't. Since the ceasefire went into effect in November 2024, Hezbollah has not fired a single rocket at Israeli territory. Israel, by contrast, has carried out thousands of strikes on Lebanese territory since then. Other attacks report elsewhere in eastern Lebanon and also against the Palestinian refugee camp of Ain el-Hiwa near Sidon. That strike killed 2 Palestinians in the Hittin neighborhood of the camp. IDF narrative is that the case was that the strike targeted a Hamas command center from which terrorists operated. Though camp officials say that the building that hit was actually being rented out to a person distributing food aid and said that the casualties in the camp were civilians. So they're targeting Lebanon right now, which, let's be real, I think this ties into other happenings going on. For example, here we go. Here's another story on all this. This is by Jason Ditz. Says, as Israel escalates Lebanon strikes, no assurances Lebanon won't get dragged into Iran war. So to me, this is what this kind of looks like. They're getting ready for some stuff to pop off in Iran, and of course, they're stirring up shit with Hezbollah at the same time, because it would be entities like that they would be really having to be concerned about when Iran kicks off. So not entirely sure how this is going to play out, but the last Israeli invasion of Lebanon ended in November 2024 with a ceasefire, and since that ceasefire went into effect, Israel has launched over 1,000 attacks on Lebanese territory. Keep in mind, since that ceasefire, Hezbollah has not done a goddamn thing to them. So there's been 1,000 attacks on one side, 0 on the other, and yet they still have the gall to do preemptive attacks against Hezbollah. Those strikes are continuing to grow in intensity in recent months, and this weekend alone, major attacks killed 12 people in Lebanon and wounded scores of others. Though Israel escalates more or less as a matter of course on any pretext, including talk of a new war with Iran, has framed the recent escalation as about trying to drag Lebanon to that war as well. And Lebanese officials are reportedly unable to get any international assurances that they won't simply be sucked into the next Iran war. Though Hezbollah hasn't launched any attacks on Israeli territory since the ceasefire went into effect, Israel has long framed them as an Iranian proxy. While this was once a branding Iran used to try to increase their deterrence capabilities in the region, it's now just an excuse for Israel ready for their next war in Iran at any rate to escalate the war they're already waging on Lebanon. Hezbollah, for its part, has suggested growing disquiet about the Israeli attacks, framing this weekend's attack as a massacre, and suggesting both that the government should stop participating in the ceasefire committee and that Hezbollah itself increasingly has no options left but resistance to Israeli aggression. The U.S. is meant to be overseeing the ceasefire. Yeah, in case you've forgotten, we're the ones that are also supposed to be like the third party, like the insurer of the ceasefire. The backstop here in this incredibly lopsided quote-unquote ceasefire. And while Lebanon's government keeps attending conferences on the ceasefire, there's little sign the U.S. is going to do anything about the constant Israeli attacks on Lebanese territory in violation of that ceasefire, while continuing to berate Lebanon for not acting even more aggressively against Hezbollah, which again hasn't launched any attacks since the ceasefire went into effect. Keep in mind, this is also the Lebanon is, who is it? Tom Barak is the ambassador to that region, and I think a few other Middle Eastern states, but particularly Lebanon. That guy is one of these guys that we're going to have to do a whole, and we've already done little tidbits here and there, but one of these days we're going to have to kind of throw all the information together somehow cohesively and at least do a segment on Tom Barak and his Epstein connections, because they are excessive and they are aplenty. On the apparent eve of a new war with Israel never really ending the old war, Lebanese officials are trying to placate them with promises to further disarm Hezbollah, though Hezbollah is increasingly reluctant to cooperate with these efforts, knowing that it's neither decreasing the rate of Israeli attacks on Lebanon nor leading to Israel withdrawing its ground troops from Lebanon. All right, let's roll into the chat, say some good mornings, and what's going on? Okay, and then we'll get into the next segment, the first main segment of the day, Mike Cuckabee. So let's roll the chat. Say some good mornings. Lance saying, try saying uranium 3 times fast. Tom33 saying good morning. Howdy, my nigs. Good morning, Real John Doe, saying they've been 5 minutes from the bomb. For generations, cue Netanyahu with a wily coyote picture. Yep. Good morning, Nate Johnson. Good morning. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning, Alien Big Cat. Who else? Good morning, JC. Good morning, whoop my baby mama ho ass. That's a fun name to say. What else we got in here? Good morning, that one chick, Chris. What's up with it? It is. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. We're just chilling, just doing the dump. It's good to have you with us. All right, let's go ahead and get into first segment of the day. Let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk about the whole Tucker Carlson, Mike Cuckabee shenanigans. That was kind of blown away by all that. To set this discussion up, we should probably talk a little bit about some news that occurred beforehand. Apparently, there were claims from Tucker Carlson, even within this episode at the beginning, as he tends to do. He tends to do these monologues before. But, I mean, there was already news that had come out before then. This had been reported. But apparently, according to Tucker, I don't know if there's other things that corroborate this, but generally, I kind of believe it, especially after watching the entire interview, which I have. That apparently Tucker Carlson, after his interview with Mike Huckabee, got detained at the airport with him and his some of his crew. And yeah, like I said, if you watch that interview, you could see why. It was pretty ballsy for him to go into Israel and ball so fucking hard like this. But Israeli Foreign Ministry responded to these accusations, said Israeli airports authority says contrary to the reports, Tucker Carlson and his entourage were not detained, delayed, or interrogated. Mr. Carlson and his party were politely asked a few routine questions in accordance with standard procedures applied to many travelers. The conversation took place in a separate room within the VIP lounge solely to protect their privacy and to avoid conducting such a discussion in public. No unusual incident occurred, and Israeli Airports Authority firmly rejects any other claims. And then we have Stu Peters pointing out, I don't have the thing up. Here we go. They have Stu Peters pointing out, saying Israel, Tucker Carlson, his entourage were not detained or interrogated. They're taken to a private room and asked questions in accordance with standard procedures. That's literally the definition of detained and interrogated. Lying seems to be genetic in Israel, he says. But yeah, they did detain him. Now, I don't know. Maybe some countries it is pretty standard to do normal questioning in and out of airports, but according to Tucker, the sort of questions they were asking were specifically about the nature of the interview and the questions and wanting to see it and like those sort of like intelligence sort of stuff. Like not like, oh, what are you doing in Israel? And then like, you know, is this business? Is it pleasure? You know, kind of things you'd expect to be asked at a border or something, you know? No, it was more than that. And I don't know. I think maybe you guys might get a little bit of a picture of why after we go through some of these clips. I mean, while I still do kind of think there's something to do with the fact of this dude glowing. But after I got to give credit where credit is due. He did go hard on this interview. So let's watch this together. Here's one of the first ones we'll go through. Here is my buddy Jacob Winograd. He took a clip out of here. Going into how Huckabee still wants to support Israel despite the fact that this money goes towards abortions, because apparently there's free abortions or government-funded abortions over in Israel. And let's be real, it's something that someone like a Mike Huckabee should be very much against. And seems like he's pretty soft on it. So let's watch this together.
Culture in Israel, because it's beautiful. I love green. I love plants.
I remember when it didn't look like that.
Yeah.
First time I came in 53 years ago.
It's great.
It did not look like that.
Great. Looks a lot nicer than our country. And it has higher standard of living. It has nicer roads than the United States. And so it's like, okay, why are we sending all this money to a country that has a higher standard of living than ours?
I don't know that they have a higher standard of living.
They do, actually. They have free health care. They also have free abortion. Are you okay with that?
I personally don't like that.
Why would we be subsidizing? Why would we send any
We're
money?
not.
Why would we send any money to a country that provides free abortion?
Because the money that we send does not pay for health care. It does not pay for abortion. It pays for military things.
It's like if they don't spend it on this, they'll spend it on that.
But they do spend it on that, and then we get many more times back in return on the investment. When
why don't
we
we say we're not sending you any more money as long as you have free abortion?
Well, that would be a policy decision.
Would you be for that?
I would be okay with it because I hate abortion. I think it's horrible.
How much do you hate it?
I hate it a lot.
Why are we sending them money if they're paying for free abortion?
Because they're not paying for abortions with the money. And because we, in turn, get billions of dollars. The return on investment is estimated somewhere between 400 and 1,200%.
I've heard these numbers. I just live there, and I know, and by the way, I'm for American manufacturing. The defense industry is totally corrupt and seedy, as you know. However, I like to see American companies thrive. Like, it's complicated. I'm not an extremist or an absolutist on really anything other than abortion. However, net, as we say, our country's not really thriving.
All right, well, let's check out another one. Let's just see what Jacob's commentary was on this one. He says, funny how pro-life Huckabee says the money we give Israel doesn't go towards abortions. That's the same defense Democrats use to defend federal subsidies of Planned Parenthood. Over 20,000 abortions are performed per year in Israel, but Mike says the cost is worth it. So that's 20,000 babies dead. And that's not even the ones they killed with bullets or bombs. That's just the ones they did for funsies, just because they don't want to deal with the responsibility of it. And that's government subsidized, and we are helping fund that. So that's great. And that is actually the exact same argument that Democrats use for Planned Parenthood. They go, no, we're not funding abortions. We're funding birth control or reproductive care. That would be how they would frame it. Reproductive care. But at the same time, like money's fungible. So that like if I give you $100 and you say, and I say to go get, I'm trying to think of an example. Point being is money's fungible. So like if you give me $100 and that like offsets, I may not use that literal $100 on whatever given thing, but it kind of bleeds in. It becomes indiscernible from the other pool of money, if that makes sense. So like if you're giving an entity that performs abortions $20,000 and they're like, well, we're not going to use that money for abortions. It's like, yeah, but that's impossible. Like if I give you money, like that's going to, at the very least, like you'd be like, yeah, I didn't use that money for that. But you're like, but then I'm offsetting the cost. And so then you're using, I mean, you guys get the idea. This is simple economics. It's fungible. Look up the word if you don't get it. But now here's where he really steps in it. This is where it gets really, this is where he gets into international controversy type waters. And it's kind of beautiful to see, since this literally is just Christian Zionism laid bare for kind of what it is, and him just saying the quiet part out loud. Watch this.
You've appealed to Genesis. Genesis 15 says it's Abram, it's pre-Abraham, it's Abram, receives from God the news that his descendants will inherit the land. And you tell me as the theologian if I'm getting this wrong, but from the Euphrates to the Nile. I think that's right. And that would include like basically the entire Middle East. That would be the Levant, so that would be Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. It would also be big parts of Saudi Arabia and Iraq. It would be, I'm
not sure it would go that far. I mean, it would be a big piece of land, but here's the point.
It would be a lot of places that are now countries.
But this particular area that we're talking about now, Israel, is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. It was a people, a place, and a purpose. We can look at it that way. Christian Zionism, I want to go back because that's where we started.
I'm not going to let you off on this because you have said it 3 times that God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. And that land, I think it says from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is, once again, basically the entire Middle East. So God gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. What does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis. You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all.
It'd be fine if they took it all. Man, famous last words. Let's check out. Let's look into the fallout. Here is over at antiwar.com from Dave DeCamp. 14 countries condemn Huckabee's support for Israel taking over most of the Middle East. Say Huckabee has sparked a diplomatic firestorm, drawing a rebuke from 14 countries after expressing support for the idea of Israel taking over land stretching from Egypt to Iraq during an interview with Tucker Carlson. Huckabee made the comments when pressed on his Christian Zionist view that the modern state of Israel has the divine right to the land that it controls. Carlson asked how far that goes, pointing out that the promise God made to Abraham in Genesis suggests his descendants would have all the land between the Euphrates and the Nile rivers, which includes Israel, Palestine, Jordan, and parts of Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. I'd be fine if they took it all, he said. When pressed further, he insisted that Israel wasn't trying to take the land, but the idea of a greater Israel has support within the Israeli government, and Israel currently occupies part of Syria and Lebanon and continues to expand illegal Jewish settlements in the West Bank and its occupation of more than 50% of Gaza. In response to his comments, a joint statement was released by the foreign ministries of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, Lebanon, Syria, as well as the Gulf Cooperation Council, the Organization of Islamic States, and the Arab League. The countries expressed their strong condemnation and profound concern regarding the statements made by the United States ambassador to Israel, in which he indicated it would be acceptable for Israel to exercise control over territories belonging to Arab states, including the occupied West Bank. The statement said Huckabee's comments constitute a flagrant violation of the principles of international law and the Charter of the United Nations, impose a grave threat to the security and stability of the region. The ministries reaffirmed that Israel has no sovereignty whatsoever over the occupied Palestinian territory or any other occupied Arab lands. They reiterated their firm rejection of any attempts to annex the West Bank or separate it from the Gaza Strip, their strong opposition to the expansion of settlement activities in the occupied Palestinian territory, and their categorical rejection of any threat to the sovereignty of Arab states, the statement said. So yeah, many of these people in the Middle East, none too happy about these sort of statements. Now, this is literally what this entire, it was like something like over 2 hours long, maybe almost 3. It really was Tucker just being inquisitive and kind of using the Socratic method for all the things, like kind of sort of what he did to Ted Cruz, but a little bit more, even worse, if that makes, like, because got even more. Like, okay, what about this? So getting him to define everything. So in this situation, what does it mean? Like, essentially clawing at, hey, like literally from the start, they even go, hey, we should define terms. Funny enough, suggested by Huckabee, being like, oh, as a former debate guy, we would always define terms. And Tucker goes, oh, okay. And then just spends the entire interview essentially defining the fuck out of everything and just kind of, slowly exposing how nothing about Huckabee's worldview really is consistent. Or at the very least, I don't know, there's a little bit of a dishonesty there, covering up for the actual ideology. I mean, we just showed a moment where it kind of came through, but you can definitely see he's kind of playing fast and loose, not really wanting to say certain things. And I don't know, maybe there's a way to see around this, because he does kind of strike me as a true believer, so maybe it is like this true believer, but that that if you say what your belief is, that will damage the possibility of that receiving fruition or coming into fruition. Perhaps I don't know. Anyways, yeah. Sorry, I'm rambling now. But yeah, that's what this whole thing was. Let's check out another clip where he talks about kind of puts his foot in his mouth once again. Kind of going into the savagery of Israel and kind of comparing it to the United States. Bear in mind, this is a member of the United States government.
It's interesting
Tucker,
that
they don't care about life.
I'm not saying that Hamas does. You're never going to get me to defend Hamas. I'm good. I'm anti-Hamas.
You've said that 3 times, and I believe
your dig at the United States is very revealing.
Why is it revealing?
Because your priorities are very clear.
No.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And as an American, permit me a moment of outrage. Because I said many civilians have been killed. Yeah. And you said, right in the middle of your elaborate defense of the IDF's killing of civilians, including children, you said they do a better job than the United States does. That's my country and my government.
It's my country. What flag am I wearing here?
Well, I'm asking, why is it
What flag am I wearing?
Well, that's, of course, my flag as well.
And it's my flag. It's who I serve.
So why the dig at the United States in the middle?
It's not a dig at them. No. You've totally misrepresented
What did you mean by that?
I did not take a dig at the U.S. What I'm saying is...
So the IDF is more humane than the U.S.?
I'm saying...
Military.
No, I'm just saying that Israel takes steps that we don't take and no other country that I'm aware of takes to try to prevent. Because no matter what Israel does, they're going to get accused of genocide.
That may be right, and I'm
just telling you that they...
But then let me ask you on that question. That's such a politically loaded...
But I resent the idea that you think that I'm not loyal to the U.S. or that I somehow...
Look, I'm not saying you're not loyal. I'm merely noting what you just said, which was that the IDF takes greater pains than the U.S., our military does, to spare civilian lives. And I guess my question is, when was the last time the U.S. military killed this many civilians? Do you know?
Well, it could have been Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Could have been Iraq, Afghanistan. We don't know the full number.
And I think most Christians would say all of those things were atrocities because innocents were killed in large numbers, and we don't believe in that. And so that's not really a defense, is it?
War is a horrible thing, Tucker, and there are people who end up unfortunately being killed that shouldn't have been. I would tell you that I wish that none of those people in Gaza had been killed after October the 8th. Well, I say not none of them. I'm glad Mohammed Sinwar was killed. I'm glad that some of those warriors, the people who masterminded and carried out the atrocities of October 7th.
14-year-old Hamas operatives, how do you feel about their deaths?
If they participated in that, then God help them. I'm telling you,
what
Tucker,
does that mean, God help
I don't know that they were 14 years. No, but I'm telling you that when someone commits the acts of atrocity and then they hold hostages, if these were your children being held hostage in Gaza, what would you do to get them out?
I wouldn't want to kill 14-year-olds. I'll tell you that.
Let me ask you something. Would you do whatever it took to get your kids back if they were being tortured, raped, starved,
I would
and
not
beaten?
kill children, period.
Well, I'm just telling you.
And I would never make excuses for killing children either.
And I'm not talking about targeting children. I'm talking about.
You told me that 14-year-olds deserve to die because they're working for Hamas.
I'm telling you.
My question is, can you hear yourself?
I do hear myself.
So do you think a 14-year-old child has agency? Do you think that he deserves to die because he's being used by adults? Isn't his death a crushing tragedy?
All right, let's check out one more clip and then we'll get out of here. Let's see. What's this other one? This is where this is more. All right, this is kind of more on the idea of
with you. You feel like
kind of really exposing who I don't know who he's running cover for. Let's be real. But I don't know, it's the idea that he starts off with Israel had absolutely nothing to do with the United States invading Iraq, because the idea of being like, what does the United States even do for Israel type deal, because they're kind of going into the relationship between them, yada, yada. All right, let's play this.
With you. You feel like that we do too much for Israel. We're getting nothing from it. And I ask you, how many...
No, I don't think we're getting nothing.
How many boots on the ground has the U.S. placed on behalf of Israel?
However many went to Iraq. We did that for Israel.
No, I don't think we did.
But you said we did it because of 9/11?
That was the U.S. justification for it.
But it wasn't for 9/11. So what was the actual reason?
Well, the U.S. government told us it was for 9/11. They told us that they were part of it, that they had weapons of mass destruction.
But they knew they had nothing to do with 9/11, obviously. There's no evidence.
But
So what was the actual
Israel
reason?
was not in that component. But
Israel had no influence on our decision to invade Iraq. That's not what the people who made the decision say. They say Israel.
Well, let me get back to the point.
Gave us that information about the fake weapons of mass destruction. Where do you think that came from?
Was,
it came from Bibi.
How many Americans put their boots on the ground for Israel? The answer is zero.
Everybody who served in Iraq put their boots on the ground for Israel.
Did not.
Where did we get the information about the weapons of mass destruction that wasn't real?
We didn't get that from. You're saying we got that from Israel? That Israel was one pushed us into that?
Well, absolutely.
You really believe that?
I know that for a fact. And so does every. Yes, this has been widely written about and discussed. And I'm not attacking Israel. Like, they thought it was in their interest to take out a government that was paying the families of suicide bombers. I get it. I'm not mad at Israel about that. I never have been. I'm mad at the Bush administration and all the people who went along with this to the detriment of my country. That's who I'm mad at, not Israel. Bibi's doing what he can for his country, whether you agree with him or not. I want my leaders to do the same for my country. That's it.
All right, credit where credit is due. I do gotta say with Tucker, like anybody seen that episode, or sometimes you might even see it as a meme, that episode of South Park where like I think they were like bouncing on their ball. I forget even what the plot was, but essentially the men in the town were microwaving their balls and make them humongous to. I think it was like to get sympathy for I forget specific what it was. But anyways, like just kind of Stan's dad, or is it Kyle's dad? Whichever one. The one who's always getting fights, a cartwheel, or not, what's it called? Wheelbarrowing his balls because they're humongous. That's kind of what Tucker was doing. Just humongous balls, crazy. I mean, he literally flew into Israel for this. I would recommend going and watching the full disaster fallout. It's quite beautiful to behold. It really is astounding. And then to think that this guy is literally in the belly of the beast as he does it. And trust me, I know I do think this motherfucker glows still, but like, holy shit. I mean, maybe he's a renegade glowy. Maybe he's a real genuine white hat. I am skeptical, but either way, whether he's working for some other entity or whatever the fuck the deal is here, hats off, fucking crushed. So yeah, big old balls, astounding, absolutely astounding. Go check that out. I mean, this was just a taste. I mean, it really was just a masterclass in just wrecking Huckabee. Huckabee's been crazy tweeting about it since then. He's had Loomer. I considered maybe covering some of the Loomer cope, but it's completely unsubstantive and retarded like Loomer herself. But it's funny, you see Huckabee and some of the other some of the more official characters running with that, being like, oh, look, Loomer, coming to my defense. It's like, okay. Sure, buddy. That's great. What a great person to have on your side. When you have Loomer, fucking wigging out, coming to your defense. I mean, while I'm not really one usually to be like, if certain people believe this, it's like, the very least, if you see Loomer like on your side, just take a moment. And if she's going this fucking hard, and if you're just desperate for her help, I don't know. It kind of says everything, doesn't it? Well, moving on, this seems relevant to all of this discussion, and really all the segments we'll be covering today. Apparently, here's from Mel, the Village Crazy Lady, sharing one of the Epstein files that lay out that the modeling agency Epstein started with Brunel, the one which allowed them to procure visas for young, economically desperate Eastern European women, had 3 offices: New York, Miami, and Tel Aviv. How perfect is that? And let's read this. Let's read this thing right here. It says, this is EFTA 028-15869. It says, on October 6, 2007, the New York Post reported the owners of MC2 models are denying industry speculation that massage maven Jeffrey Epstein is a secret financial backer of the agency being run by scandal-scarred Jean-Luc Brunel, who was once accused of taking advantage of underage models. Epstein, who this week agreed to plead guilty to soliciting underage prostitutes as Florida Mansion in a deal that will send him to prison for about 18 months, reportedly gave millions to start MC2, which opened in October 2005 with offices in New York, Miami, and Tel Aviv. One of the girls Epstein, 54, was accused of soliciting massages from was described in court documents as being just 14. All right, and that's it. That's basically the end of that one. It kind of cuts off into another sentence that wouldn't really make sense to read it. And to kind of finish off this conversation on Mike Cuckabee, and I don't know, and people like him. This seems relevant. Just fun little fact. Actually, you know what? Not relevant at all. Has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with any of these segments whatsoever. Totally in Minecraft or whatever. Apparently, North Korea executed 2 Mossad spies recently. Isn't that neat? I mean, isn't that what you do with a spy? I mean, I am not someone who supports the death penalty, generally speaking. But like when it's a government official, I mean, kind of world's smallest violin kind of deal. Especially for espionage for a foreign country because they're literally a traitor to their nation. And I'm not even someone who's particularly a nationalist or has strong ties to the idea of a nation. But if let's be real. I mean, I'm far be it for me to come to the defense of such a person, Just saying. And with that, guys, let's roll into the chat. Say more good mornings, and then we'll get into the second segment of the day. His name was Austin Tucker Martin, a dude who did a thing. Here's Josh Chambers. Good morning to you. There's another guy I've been listening to called him Mike Cuckabee. Oh, that would have been better. It might be a little too much though. Mike Cuckabee. I don't know, Cuckabee, or maybe Huckabee. I don't. Honestly, I like the BB insertion in there, but I don't like so much the cuck. The cuck just seems too lame, and I guess the boomer MAGA crowd has kind of made it lose its flavor for me because everything's the cuck. Like, oh, cuck this, cuck that. Oh, that's cucked, and you're like, so it's kind of gotten chud coded, I guess you could say. Let me see. Who else we got in here? Good morning, Gerald. I don't know if I said good morning to you already, Peter. Gerald _ your mom says Peter Thiel needs his stem cells. Yes, he needs his babies. He needs to suck down his baby fetuses. Who else we got in here? JC says, oh my God, did you see the clip of a guy being asked if Israel had nukes despite not signing the treaty, and he completely shat his pants? Yeah, that was... God, yeah, I had that clip somewhere. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember who that was. It was a good clip, though. It was a really good clip. Shit, I wish I remember who he was asking about that. It wasn't, fuck, whatever. Yeah, no, it's a good one. Maybe we'll have to play that one of these other days. So, I have it bookmarked. It just didn't show up when I was accumulating all the different stuff today. Gerald Hall says, there are no contemporary texts that mention Moses, Abraham until 300 BC. Judaism is literally plagiarized Greek mystery rite / Babylonian / Egyptian bullshit. Okay. Yeah, I think you're speaking Tilla's language. Too bad he's not here with us anymore. What else we got in here? Marmax says this is Cuckabee just saying, fuck it, Israel runs this bitch. What are you going to do about it? Gerald Hall says, check out Neil, Gnostic informant. He translates Greek text. Great dude. Oh, maybe a possible guest. I'll have to hit him up. Ooh, somebody mentioned Amon. I know him. I've seen him pop up a lot. He's an interesting fill. I don't know what I could do. That guy though is like he's like almost too much. Like he's like someone. Like, if you're an interviewer, you're like, what do I do with this guy? I mean, it is compelling, but it's almost like you just need to have, like, 3 hours and just let him say whatever the fuck he wants and be like, whoa. But you're almost no point even trying to contain him as an interviewer. So, I don't know. Let me see. What else we got in there? Good morning. Aggressively agreeing. Says war is a horrible thing, Tucker. That's why I've advocated for my entire political life. Yeah. Which he brings up that point. He's like, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a horrible thing. He kind of makes the point, like, if it's a horrible thing, then why are we doing it? Let me see. Good morning. Oh, I already said good morning to Shelby. But you were born in Jalisco? Okay. We got a Mexican in here. That's cool. I don't know if you got anything interesting to add about the stuff over in Mexico. I'd be interested to hear if you have any sort of insight, or maybe you've been over the States your whole life and have no insight. Who knows? Northside clarifying the South Park one is they were microwaving their balls to get medical cannabis cards. Yes, that's what it was. They were trying to get weed. That's true. And you pronounce it Jalisco. Was I saying Jalisco? Whatever. Good morning, Nemo Liberty. Giving a bump. Appreciate it. By the way, this is a guy who did that dope edit we played a while ago as an outro. Yeah, so it says, thanks for sharing my birthday. My video, bro. Happy birthday. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I meant to comment on this. Today is the dreadful day on Facebook that I just so happened to randomly put as my birthday when I made the account. My birthday is June 21st, for those who actually want to keep track of it or care. I don't expect any of you to. I mean, I'm not like a sentimental person like that, but yeah, it is. I whenever I made that Facebook account, I just put a random date in there, and then so it's like every fucking. I wish I had just put my birthday. I don't know why I didn't. I think it was because when I made that account, I've explained this before. When I made that account, it was like. It was an alt, and it was like the idea was like it was peak Facebook censorship, and I just want to be able to say what I wanted and not worried about losing too much of my shit or whatever, or like losing family photos or whatever. And so I made that other account, and so I think part of me was like, oh, I'll put a different date so they don't know it's me or whatever, like you're ban evading or some shit. And now once a year when this day comes around, it's just annoying. Everybody like, happy birthday. Bunch of people I don't fucking know on Facebook. Luckily, I don't do anything on Facebook. It's really only like when I pop in here to like for example, like right now I have it as one of my tabs up. And so that way I have like a little, I have the messenger up that has like a little pre-prepared note for my outro stuff so I don't forget. So yeah, stuff like that. So that's the only thing I use it for. I don't like use it for anything else. So it's only like Messenger that I use it for. And so like even when I'm on my desktop, I use it for Messenger. And then yeah, so then I go into then when I bring it up on the only time I even see all the notifications, all the happy birthdays, when I come on here and just all of them. But thanks, people. It's I appreciate the sentiment, but it is fucking annoying. Good morning, Zoe 9993 says acting to get his crib back. Still a Fed. Yeah, probably. What else we got in here? Happy birthday, says Gerald. Yeah. Operation JCD. Oh, that's awesome. Happy birthday. Oh my God, happy birthday. Yeah. I have to hear a million happy birthdays. And like, I used to like the first year be like, oh shit, what did I do? And be like, oh, it's not my birthday. It's not my birthday. Now just thanks. Or just ignore it. Like, I feel like an asshole, but it's like, I don't want to be like, it's not my birthday. It's not my birthday. It's not my birthday. It's not my birthday. All right, whatever. Let's get into the next segment. Talk about a real American hero. I mean, villain, obviously, bad guy, not cool, super not cool, super bad. Just be very clear, bad. But he's a man who did something, and his name was motherfucking Austin. I fucked it up right off the jump. Let me do that again. He's a man who did something, and his name was Austin Tucker Martin. Now, an armed man was shot dead at Mar-a- Mar-a-Lago. Let's read up on this. This was Austin Tucker Martin. I'll be interested to see what you guys' thoughts are on this story. Let's read this together. It's written by TMZ, which we'll have a little bit of an insight into TMZ here in a moment. I'm interested if there's anyone in my audience that after reading this is like, what I'm about to read is like, fuck this dude. Okay, let's go through it. The armed man shot and killed by Secret Service agents outside President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago property Sunday had grown increasingly obsessed with the Epstein files and was also a vocal supporter of Trump, TMZ has learned. Austin Tucker Martin sent a text message obtained by TMZ to a coworker on February 15th, 2026 that read, "I don't know if you read up on the Epstein files, but evil is real and unmistakable." He continued, the best people like you and I can do is to use what little influence we have, tell other people about what you hear about the Epstein files and what the government is doing about it, raise awareness. Here's a picture of that text where he says that, which, yeah, I nailed it. Sources who worked with Austin at Pine Needles Lodge and Golf Club in North Carolina tell TMZ he became fixated on Epstein following the latest release of information tied to the files. Coworkers tell us he was deeply disturbed by what he believed was a government cover-up and talked about powerful people getting away with it. At the same time, Austin was outspoken about his Christian faith and his political views. We are told he regularly expressed support for Trump, telling colleagues as recently as late as last year he believed Trump was a strong leader. So this guy's a former Trump supporter. Here's this guy, Austin Tucker Martin. Just looks like you're kind of generic 18, 19, 20-year-old white dude. People close to Martin describe him as well-meaning, but increasingly frustrated, particularly about the economy. We're told he often complained that young people need 2 jobs or roommates to afford moving out. So true, King. Our sources say he still lived with his parents. Austin also tried to start a union at work to push for higher wages, but no one signed on. Outside of his job, he's a sketch artist attempting to sell drawings of local scenery and people around town. As we report, he was shot and killed after breaching the secure perimeter at Mar-a-Lago early Sunday. According to officials, he was observed near the North Gate carrying a shotgun and a fuel can. The investigation remains ongoing. So obviously, don't know exactly what he was intending on doing, but, we fill in the blanks. Trump probably wasn't even there, but hey, dude was doing some shit. Dude was doing some stuff and fixated on Epstein. Now, I will admit, I'm a little bit of a schizophrenic, so this also, while I am kind of being a little bit of a silly goose here, leaning into it and being like, yo, dude, okay, yeah, far be it for me to... let me cut through the noise here. I do not, let me be very, very clear. I do not recommend stuff like this to anyone. This is just to be very clear, Fed posting, awareness. Don't do anything like this sort of shit. But, far be it for me to condemn. I can't find I struggle to find the immorality of this. If we are to construct a system of morals and accountability, and yet, well, I would say, hey, maybe this is a misprioritization. You should be more prioritizing, getting a family, but this, I guess if you're some guy who's got nothing going in life and now, who am I to poo-poo? I'm trying to skate around this without, I don't know, getting the federal government at my door. All I'm saying is, how do I say it? One example I always like to use is like, say, for example, maybe getting like what example? Like you used to get like getting pulled over and getting like attacked by a cop or arrested, or I'm trying to think of an example that I typically use. I usually use the cop one because it's like you can understand that like yes, it's stupid to do something, but it may not necessarily be immoral. Like so, if you're someone who doesn't believe badges grant extra rights, and let's say you got pulled over for no reason. It's completely unjust. Like there's not like, murder going on and you're the murderer. Like you just got pulled over and, you're getting pulled out of your car violently or whatever. You're being wronged, and then you pull your gun out and blow the cop away. It's almost certainly not going to work out well for you. But I could be like, hey, like that you have every right to protect yourself. Let me put it at that. Let me leave it at that. Just saying, you guys can fill in the blanks what you think. But we've been covering the Epstein shit for a while, and I don't know. I mean, we are ruled by monsters. What do you want me to tell you? Like, while I think going out and literally hunting these monsters does not necessarily lead to good things, whether that be even collectively or individually. But by God, if you're out there monster hunting, who am I to condemn you? Because there are monsters, and so I just maybe I would recommend maybe not using that tact. Is I guess what I would say. So I don't support this, but I don't condemn it either. Let's just say it like that. Let's skate around it that way. But a little digging in. To TMZ, apparently there's a little bit of a connection between Harvey Levin, the main TMZ guy, and Epstein. I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words here. Here is a file that William Ramsey shared here, EFTA 00682-303 from 9 March 2011. Like I said, William Ramsey, Epstein PR strategy with his PR specialist Michael Strick. Says Strick knows Harvey Levin of TMZ. So let's read this back and forth. To Strick. So I was going to read this backwards because emails are returned. So here we go. This is initially it says from Jeffrey Epstein to Mike Sitrick. It says Zuckerman suggested shorter and punchier, no attack on press, plead guilty solicitation, no tabloid exaggeration of pedophilia. J.E. paid a price. So this is Jeffrey Epstein talking about himself. To this guy, Mike Sitrick. No allegations of minors since 2005. Obviously, they're talking about like the ins and outs of like how they go about PR-wise, dealing with his recent snafu of diddling kitties. Suggests leaking to London press the absurdity of Fergie's statements. There were law enforcement people in my office when I was on work release that let her in. And then it says, okay, with leaking to British press, but think we need to get a statement out. That's Sitrick. Then Jeffrey Epstein says, I'll save for right time. Then Sitrick, which I think I may have covered this before, maybe misread. Or I don't know if I shared it with you guys or it was just myself. But this is, so I've seen people sharing around this statement right here too, as like acting as if this is Epstein saying that Harvey Levin is his good friend, but it's actually one of Epstein's friends saying he's good friends with Harvey Levin, and he's about to kind of offer his services, it seems. So it's tried to call you. Harvey Levin, who runs TMZ, is a good friend. So that's the Mike Sitrick guy. They haven't reported this at all, but I might be able to get him to do something on the Duchess and her backpedaling. So dragging TMZ, kind of seemingly like he might, like, oh, I might be able to get my buddy Harvey in on this. So a lot of people have pushed this around as if this is like Epstein saying, I've seen people like memeified it, like Harvey, and being like, good friend, or whatever. And it's like, well, it's not really, it's a little sloppy. Let's be real. That is a little sloppy, a little bit unfair, but it does kind of display, I don't know, the network at least. So I don't know if I'd necessarily say Harvey Levin was a close buddy of Epstein's, but he at the very least was but now there might be other emails that I haven't seen that where Harvey Levin comes up and it shows a stronger relationship. But this is some guy that Epstein was talking to about trying to salvage his reputation, and his buddies, essentially pushes. Oh, we'll get Harvey Levin involved. Well, let's pop into the people who are supposed to. I don't know, let's be real. The subject of the ire of an individual such as Austin Tucker Martin. Let's check in on and see what Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. Well, they had to say. Kash Patel popped onto the Dan Bongino show recently, and he had some stuff to say. I haven't watched this yet. I've seen it shared around, make the rounds. So let's get a little bit outraged about this together. Bear in mind this beady-eyed faggot gorilla and this stupid Jeet. Remember what they did. Remember how hard they lied, how hard they went in the paint. Kash just... I know a lot of people are outraged about his, apparently at the I guess they did something impressive at the hockey Olympics. I don't know, Olympics are gay. I don't know, whatever. I mean, if you're in them, that's really cool. But if you're like an Olympics enjoyer, okay, what are you doing with your life? But apparently, I guess they did some hockey shit, and for some reason, Kash was there. So, Funny enough, because he had given the previous FBI director, Ray, lots of grief about all of his travels and stuff, and now we have Cash swigging beers, celebrating at the Olympics, on the dime of the FBI. So we have a complete and utter inversion, but he obviously has excuses. So, and then keep in mind both Cash went on Rogan. Did Bongino go on Rogan too? I know he went in a bunch of different places and said crazy shit. I think his lies were mostly Bongino's lies, if I recall correctly, were mostly focused around the surveillance video and how he was acting like, oh, we're going to release surveillance video. It's going to show, and it was complete bullshit. Now, Cash has said like more shit that's like clearly perjury, but let's see the tune they're carrying right these days. Let's check in on them.
I think you and I did a pretty good job. It really isn't hard when you focus them on the bad guys.
Well, it's not hard, Dan, as you know, as an 1811 and a former police officer. It's not hard to do the job you signed up for if you're allowed to do the job you signed up for. And President Trump and this administration backs law enforcement and gave us the resources at this FBI and gave us the autonomy in you and I in running this building to remove the red tape, to remove the unnecessary approvals, and to get 1,000 extra agents. That's what we did, Dan. We put 1,000 agents into the field from Washington, D.C. We permanently removed them from the National Capital Region and sent them across every single field office. And what did that do? It allowed people to hit the streets and investigate crimes, and it led to this. And I know you've seen this, but this is 1 year in the making of true historic reductions in crime. And you're talking about a 20% reduction in murder rate. You're talking about a 32% increase in fentanyl seizures, enough to kill 150 million Americans. Dan, you're talking about 4 top 10 arrests in 1 year, but as soon as you left, I had to add 2 more. So now we're up to 6. I couldn't let it stand at 4. So in 1 calendar year, we arrested 6 of the FBI's most wanted fugitives in the world.
You know what I'm talking about. I was busting my ass on that one, but I was like, So, but hey, good job. Once I saw it on the news, I was proud of you and the guys.
No, you laid it, and you gotta let you know those 6 go to you. You laid the groundwork for it. You work quietly behind the scenes. I'm just telling you. And look, I think the audience should know. I can't even memorize these. I look at these every day, and it's just hard to believe. 490.
He literally has like a little booklet that he's like, I can't even memorize. It's a little booklet. I don't know like what they made this to be like. Oh, here's your little fact sheet. And so he's like, he doesn't even like reference the facts. He just looks. I have his little booklet. It's like, I don't know what this. It's okay, my people made me a little fact sheet. Okay, whatever. They're doing a victory lap. This is gross. Let's keep going.
% increase in those who prey upon our children. 490% increase in arrests by the FBI. The FBI under the last year, twice as many increase for violent crime from 24 to 25. Twice as many arrests. That's unbelievable, Dan. These numbers are truly historic, and that was the foundational tectonic shift you and I put into place in the FBI to let the cops go out there and be cops, and this is what happens.
And one of the things I know I've heard you emphasize.
All right, so they're just doing a victory lap, talking about how great they've been. I wonder why they're irritated young men. I wonder why, if there's men that value goodness in the world, why they would feel, oh, wow, there are monsters with which I should, fight. It's almost as if, like, isn't that what the whole appeal of the military? Like, we were told from young, like, oh, we're going to go and hurt the dirt. We're going to go pew pew and fucking kill the baddies. It'll be super fucking, you'll be a badass. You'll be a hero. You'll be a real fucking man. Some real man shit. Just saying. Some real man shit. Keep it moving. Let's check in and see what Trump has to say. I don't think we've covered this one yet. This is more in response to what's going on with the Royals, but I don't know. I haven't watched this. I don't think so. The way the caption this kind of makes it, he's a little bit glib. So let's watch this together.
Former Prince Andrew arrested by the police there, related to something with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think people in this country at some point, associates of Jeffrey Epstein, will wind up in handcuffs too?
Well, I'm the expert in a way because I've been totally exonerated. That's very nice. I can actually speak about it very nicely. I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing. When I see that, it's a very sad thing. To see it and to see what's going on with, his brother, who's obviously coming to our country very soon, and he's a fantastic man, King. So I think it's a very sad thing. It's really interesting because nobody used to speak about Epstein when he was alive, but now they speak. But I'm the one that can talk about it because I've been totally exonerated. I did nothing. In fact, the opposite. He was against me. He was fighting in the election, which I just found out through the last 3 million pages.
All right, well, he said a whole bunch of nothing. That's sad. That's sad. That's sad. Which funny, like this is one of those like I almost would be willing to bet if there was someone who really pressed on it, it would be kind of like some of his earlier statements where he's like, "Oh, it's sad that they're being put." He even said sort of like, "Oh, you know, no one cared about when he's live," and so he's like, "Oh, it's almost like it's sad that this is being dredged up." So if anything, is like he's kind of getting like, "Oh, it's sad for Andrew. It's sad for the royal family to be dealing with this." Not as sad that this guy did these things that is now seeing justice for it. So I gotta give him props. It was a pretty decent little evasion there. To where if you can kind of see what you want to see there. If you could totally see him saying, "Oh, that's sad that oh, it's sad that they're doing awful crimes over there." No, I don't think that's what he meant. But for those kind of going back to for those who are if you want to kind of go, if you're saying, "Oh, this is some pedo panic once again," or I would contend that perhaps instead it's actually the pedos in panic as opposed to pedo panic. And here's one such other example of this. Let's say this is probably about as close to a smoking gun as we're going to get in these files. Here is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Masha Drakova. And this actually I think this ties into what I've talked about a couple times now. I think on the one that Already Dead recently, we read a couple emails. I'm assuming this must be related because it seems far too... But he had some other emails that kind of were hard to contextualize or understand exactly what he was getting at, but something along the lines of telling some person that he was the Sex Island guy and there's some sort of actor or writer or somebody to do with a film, and they were like, "Oh my God," when they found out it was him. And he was telling one of his buddies about this, as if it was funny. Ha ha. Well, here it seems I would assume this is probably related to that, but this is far more explicit and makes a little bit more sense. Kind of spells a little bit more out too. So initially Masha sent, Katya has a law firm, corporate law. She also understands blockchain regulations and ecosystem well. Alessia is a film director. She's working on a human rights VR movie. So a virtual reality movie, I guess. I would assume that reminds me of I know in the military they were there at the end, they were doing stupid fucking computer-based training nonsense. They had a suicide awareness one where you put on these VR goggles and you had to look at Tony Dungy or whatever the fuck his name is, the Indianapolis Colts coach or whatever the fuck. I think he was somebody else. That's only what I know him from. I think is he retired now? Didn't he come down to Tampa? I should know this too because I'm near Tampa. Whatever. Point being is they had these little VR CBT things, and you listen to Tony Dungy if your friend is sad, what should you do? Or it sounds high tech, but it's not. So it's kind of weird that. So I'm assuming I don't know what this human rights VR movie is, but it kind of makes me think it'd be something like that. What other reason would you need to make it a VR thing? This is Alexander is an actress and art expert, has business ideas. All of them are smart, high energy, and great. And then Jeffrey Epstein responded with, your friend Alessa told me about the project she is doing, researching a really bad guy that gets children for sex sent to his island. She almost fainted when I told her that person is me. So, okay, maybe you could give some sort of out there oh, but he's just saying it tongue in cheek, oh, that's based on the rumors of me. I got that is it's quite the stretch, but hey, here's another email. It says, who's this creep? And kind of a little bit to our, this guy, Austin, that we're talking about. Was it Austin? What is his name? It's Austin Tucker Martin. Kind of something he might have a little thing to be upset about perhaps here. For example, why the fuck is the from here redacted? So from redacted to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's see what this person whose name is redacted the U.S. government saw fit to protect, what they had to say. This is what they said to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2015. It says, hate letters pouring in off the Reuters piece, one of which I answered, as you saw. But in a day or two, The Guardian will come out with a lengthier piece in which they tried to trap me and succeeded in good part because it was Sunday and I was already enjoying myself. The key are the 14 to 15-year-old girls. I am a sexual pervert because I say they are now of a reproductive age. I do hope there's no legal jeopardy for you in this new flurry of activity, and my heart goes out to you, brother. Being called a sexual pervert is no fun, less so if you have served time for the crime. As I have not, they are calling me one merely for not urging your death by beheading. We'll be back in touch. Hope you're fine and more than well protected. Oh, then more. There's more. Let's look at another Epstein file. This is EFTA 00962637. Once again, another redacted name. Weird. To Jeffrey Epstein says, Jeffrey, American friend of mine is in trouble. He went with an escort girl. Unfortunate. Perhaps it's an unfortunate word. Dude, sometimes people do use girl when they mean an adult woman. But it does not go unnoticed, I will say that. And it has been unfortunately filmed. Whoa! So picture and probably film is on internet. It says, I know that you are an expert in cleaning wrong stuff on internet. Can you help find the right tech guys to help cleaning the wrong stuff on internet? We will find your assistant. Kisses, XX, redacted, a bunch of redacted. So this is registered in England and Wales. I don't know what you can get out of that. Okay. But the government once again saw fit to redact this person whose friend apparently went with an escort girl, and they think that stuff is probably on the internet. And they're going to Jeffrey Epstein thinking he could somehow get that off the internet. I don't know how he could do that. Apparently they seem to think he could. And to kind of finish off this segment, I do want to kind of refocus it on the real villains and I guess a little bit of a white pill as well. But here are the real villains, the real rulers of this realm, especially when we're speaking politically. Here's Lord Jacob Rothschild speaking on the certain behaviors of Rothschilds and the elites. So let's check in with them.
And Baron James, who was head of the Paris branch and the youngest of the 5 sons of our actual Rothschild, gave an astonishingly uninhibited description of the 19th century Rothschild policy of keeping it in the family. I'll quote to you from what he wrote and make you smile. In our family, we've always tried to keep love in the family. In this sense, it was more or less understood since childhood that children would never think of marrying outside the family, so that our fortune would never leave it.
All right, I know his voice is dog shit there. Probably has to do with something with the inbreeding, perhaps, but let me read this. This is Chris Brunette sharing it, by the way. This says, we had a policy of keeping it in the family. We've always tried to keep love in the family. It was more or less understood since childbirth that children would never think of marrying outside the family, so that our fortune would never leave it. So we're literally talking about inbred elite families that are ruling above us, international moneylenders like Jacob Rothschild. These are the ones who reign above countries. But a little bit of a white pill here. So here's an email in the Epstein files between Alice de Rothschild and Jeffrey Epstein. This is a daughter of the billionaire Ariane de Rothschild. Here's what she had to say. This is to Jeffrey. It says 550 reading, 520 math, lay 25 FEVR 2017. Never mind, retarded. I'm misreading the way the email goes. Actually, let's start over that. Scratch that. I read it wrong because it's an email. I'm a retard. Start out. It says pretty bad score again. 1070. And then Epstein asks for a breakdown by section. And she says at 550 reading, 520 math. So despite hiring a private tutor, Alice de Rothschild, the daughter of billionaire Ariane de Rothschild, struggled to crack a 1070 in the SAT, which places her around the 58th percentile. Bad genetics. Now, obviously, I'm not shitting on anybody who got like an SAT. I didn't even do an SAT and an ACT. I don't even know how good that really is. I got a 29 on my ACT, which is like okay. It was like the second highest in my graduating class. I don't think it's like a crazy high. I think the person at the highest had like a 30. I did 29. I think max is 36. And even then, like neither of ours were like any stellar. It was just a smaller school. I'm not at all. I don't think that's like genius level or anything. I'm not like trying to flex or anything. But point being, apparently this is 58th percentile, so on the kind of the lower end, and given every possible benefit one could be given in life. And despite that, still just average, which is one beautiful thing that's kind of come out through all these Epstein files, is I think a lot of people start to realize that these are really not that impressive of people. But with that, let's roll back into the chat, and then we'll get into the last segment of the day, Lucky Lutnick, and then we'll get out of here. William Miller saying Amon is way too deep theater for most people. Love him, oh God, oh God. Basically, Hebrew is a cheap scam language, and Jesus was a sex cult leader where they removed the dirty parts from the story. Yeah, I've seen him go on about that. Quite wild. Comment Mama says, seems he would know his actions would be ineffective. I'm assuming you're referring to Austin Tucker Martin. Yeah, I mean, it does feel, this. I guess I think I said something about it when we were covering it. It does feel like some sort of glowy op, and like to some extent, I guess I probably shouldn't be saying the things I'm saying, but at the same time, like if you give me a glowy op and you're like, yeah, but that, like, I don't know, I'm gonna give you, I'm behaving as if this is real. And, and not some glow up. I mean, maybe I'm falling exactly in place because let's be real. The op here would be to target people like me that would go, yeah, okay, and like, oh no, violent extremists are targeting the elite. Oh no, I'm so sad. Oh no. I guess maybe I'm falling into their plan of identifying myself, but whatever, fuck you. This is me. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to cry and fucking piss and shit over, oh no, disaffected young white men are finally, maybe not finally, are just now, their ire is being pointed at the elite. Now, I don't know. I mean, it does feel stupid. Like, what did you expect to do? Like, what, you really thought you were going to roll up on fucking Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun and some gasoline and fucking we're gonna fucking go all Rambo and take them all out and burn the place down? I mean, it should have had a better plan, I guess. At least it seems ridiculous. So yeah, it does feel like a glow op. But if we're gonna presume, earnest, organic thing, I'm giving my take. Like, oh no, they don't like the elites. Oh no. But yeah, let's see what else we got in here. Some more good mornings. Good morning, Q-Bertamo, saying, who is this Jeet looking at? That is the eternal question with Cash Patel, for sure. Imagine taking these idiots seriously, for sure. Let me see, any new chats? I think we have an attempted tower. Looks like it failed in the chats. What else we got? Yes, here you go. Willie Miller says he's told you he feels bad for the royal family, not the children abused, referring to the Trump thing earlier. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I said good morning to you, though, Bobo. Good morning, Bobo. Glad to have you joining the show. Let me see. Catching up in the chat. Somebody says Tony Dungy is a faggot. Bobo says, y'all got nice shit in the U.S. Air Force, but we don't get that shit in the Army. They only started doing those gay little VR, and it was only for a couple little stupid fucking courses. It was like the don't kill yourself. I think it was literally, I always joked and said you have don't kill yourself and don't rape people training in the military. That's like the ones they focused the most on. And I think both of them, they made VR like near the end there. And so it's not like it's not ubiquitous, I guess. It's only for a couple little things, and they only just started semi-recently doing it. So, man, you guys are getting sloppy with those towers. Smash that like button, though, says Bobo. Gerald says, I score better on my SATs than a Rothschild. 1,600 is perfect for SAT, says Gerald. Yeah, that's pretty dog shit then. 1,600, 1,000. That'd be the equivalent of getting like a 20-ish, give or take. I didn't do the exact math, just kind of a guess. So on an ACT. So yeah, that is pretty. I mean, I don't know. I guess they're not trying to be elitist, but it's not great. That's for sure. So Comment Mama says, at least get some friends together like the cartel. Yeah. All right, let's get into the last segment of the day to kind of to set up the discussion on this. We should talk about the tariffs. They got struck down recently. Here's Rand Paul quote tweeting someone talking about it. It says, in defense of our republic, the Supreme Court struck down using emergency powers to enact taxes. This ruling will also prevent a future president such as AOC from using emergency powers to enact socialism. So this is something that's been a lot of people have been talking about or anticipating for a while, that because it's been, I guess, on the docket or however the hell that works in Supreme Court, is they've had this ruling where they're getting ready to rule on the tariffs, because since Trump's come in, he's used the tariffs in a different way. He essentially claimed there was emergency powers and used these tariffs kind of willy-nilly. He's been kind of all over the place. One day, oh, we're doing this. Oh, one day we're doing that. Oh, it's for this. Oh, it's for that. Just kind of completely pandemonium, not making any fucking sense, kind of all over the place, kind of throwing markets in complete tumult, just all over the fucking place, because how the hell do you anticipate just some person in the White House throwing random ass tariffs on shit for whatever given reason at any given time, just because he feels jilted by some given nation or whatever. And it's not consistent at all, too, because a lot of times he'll like back off and then give a completely different reason so he doesn't look like foolish in the aftermath. So it's pretty ridiculous. But it's been, kind of sitting at the Supreme Court, ready to, get looked over for quite a while, and they finally did. They struck it down. It ruled it 6-3. They ruled that President Trump does not have the legal authority to impose global tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Chief Justice Roberts wrote for the majority, the IEEPA does not authorize the president to impose tariffs. Now, I think in I don't know, this essentially in retribution, I guess you could say, for this, Trump, I then claimed he was going to, I don't know if he actually did, said he was going to somehow do it through some other manner or whatever, but that's not really entirely the point there. I mean, I don't know, that he is kind of bloviating. Maybe we'll cover that a little bit tomorrow, but really the point here is how one of the architects of this is Howard Lutnick, and he's been a name that's been in the news quite a bit recently, particularly in relation to the Epstein files. We've talked about him a little bit, but I mean, he's been kind of one of the main architects behind the scenes pushing for this, and wouldn't you know, he may have an ulterior motive there. Who would have ever thunk it? You seem like such an upstanding fellow. Here's Jacob King that's going to lay it out for us here. It says, Howard Lutnick is arguably one of the slickest and most corrupt operators in modern finance. We now know he was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein, despite him previously denying it. That link was confirmed in the Epstein files. He also has documented ties to Tether and Bitcoin market manipulation. Now a brand new scheme has surfaced involving Cantor Fitzgerald, run by one of his sons. The firm has been buying the rights to U.S. tariff refunds at massive discounts. Here's how this scam works. 1, U.S. companies paid billions in tariffs that were later ruled illegal. So you got to think these are tariffs that were ruled illegal. So there's likely going to be some sort of recompense. So there are probably lawsuits, yada, yada. 2, Cantor approaches those companies and offers immediate cash, 25 cents for every dollar they're owed. So it kind of sounds like some sort of like almost like insurance policy of sort, like, hey, that's the deal. Like, hey, we're going to take on, we're almost like an insurance thing. We're going to give you like 25 cents, but so you get your immediate upfront cash, and then we're going to get it later. Now, 3, companies take the money to avoid waiting years for litigation and bureaucracy, because these companies kind of assumed this shit was probably going to be illegal. They'd probably get their money back, but, kind of time preference, given the market they choose, we'd rather have our money now than later. And we'll take it at a discount because we're not sure how this is going to shake out. So better take sure money now than more unsure money later. Makes sense. 4, when refunds are issued, Cantor collects the full dollar. So now essentially this company, Cantor, that one of his sons controls, went around and kind of essentially offered this deal to all these different companies while buying up their what's the word I'm looking for? Their legal right, I guess, to the money that was taken away from them because they paid for some of it. So they bought claims at 25 cents the dollar. After today's Supreme Court ruling, those claims could be worth 80 to 90 cents. It's worth noting that Lutnick also literally helped architect the tariff regime. He pushed Trump to implement it, likely knowing it would collapse and create this exact arbitrage opportunity. The potential payout is in the billions. This is insider level extraction hiding in plain sight. And here's more on Lutnick. We talked about kind of more. We're going to kind of go into all sorts of different stuff about Lutnick here in this segment. let's go a little bit more into establishing the ties more so with Epstein. We mentioned there's the nanny. I think we even read the emails about the nanny, back and forth, where Epstein's estate was trying to hire one of Lutnick's nannies. Obviously, we've talked about the meeting on the island, despite the fact that they said otherwise before. And I think we did mention in passing that they had a business venture of some sort together. I think we may have mentioned a property they own together. But if not, we're going to expand this a little bit more now. This is, so let's check this out. This is Speak with DD shared this, essentially saying the notary who notarized the deed of Epstein's property, 11 East 71st Street to Lutnick, was who? So pay attention for that. I think you'll be kind of shocked who the notary was of this. And this will kind of tie into a little bit more of the discussion we have later, but even just the fact that they had a building together. But let's watch this.
Tell me, what are the odds that the notary to the deed of what was both Epstein and Howard Lutnick's property at 11 East 71st Street, because yes, Epstein owned that property before Lutnick owned that property. It was transferred to Epstein for just $10 in 1992. Epstein passed the deed to a Comet Trust in 1996. Again,
Comet Trust. Just saying words.
For just $10, of which a Guido Goldman was a trustee, the son of one of the founders of the World Jewish Congress. And then it was passed to Lutnick in 1996 for, again, just $10. Who notarized the deed transferring this property from Jeffrey Epstein to the Comet Trust in 1996? A Gary Pollard.
Gary Pollard.
Gary Pollard just so happened to be in the perfect spot at the perfect time to record the perfect shot of the South Tower collapsing on September 11th, 2001. Is it just a weird coincidence that Jeffrey Epstein and Howard Lutnick owned 911 East 71st Street?
Okay, maybe it's another another one of those, what did I say his name was again? I already forgot his name. Maybe there's multiple Gary Pollards. Maybe it's a common name. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, it seems to fit as we're going. If you're a pattern recognizer like I am, it'll definitely fit into some other segments we talk about later, or some other parts of the segment we talk about here in a minute. This is also, by the way, the one footage that showed. I forget when it came out. This is the one that resurfaced much later with much greater clarity. And a lot of people were kind of like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? How the fuck do we basically have borderline HD footage of 9/11 that shows up way, way after the fact? There's a lot of other conspiracies that kind of circle around that. Let's hone back in on this a little bit. Here's Ryan Dawson, because there's a lot in that video. It says, Epstein files reveal Howard Lutnick reportedly purchased 11th East 71st Street through a trust for $10, right next door to Epstein's infamous Manhattan townhouse. Les Wexner and Epstein owned the adjoining property. Lutnick says he cut ties in 2005. The files show contact through 2018. And he shares some of the files here. I'd read them, but they're a little bit blurry. You guys go check this out on your own. But here's the attached file backing this all up. I'm not going to try to read it. It'd be way too blurry. Because something about the way Ryan shared it doesn't really, if I try to zoom in, it's all blurry, but you guys go check that on your own. That's EFTA 012492007, kind of the files kind of backing this up a little bit. Let's see if we can at least read the highlighted portion, perhaps. It says Lutnick was a neighbor of Jeffrey Epstein, the adjoining property of the street, New York. Lutnick brought the property fee $10 through trust. Les Wexner and Epstein owned the redacted. And then here's the other. Okay, then it just repeats itself. It's like a business. It looks like some sort of a contract or something where it shows a lot. It kind of repeats itself in a lot of different places. So both the highlighted portions are basically the exact same thing. Here's a picture of it too, for those who want to get a little bit of a a little of an idea. Here's what it looks like if you were driving by in New York. And this on the left here, you have the area where Epstein lived. On the right there, you have 11th Street, 71st, literally right next to each other. So they probably saw each other all the fucking time, coming and going at the very least, even if they had no social relationship whatsoever, which we all know that's bullshit. And a little bit more, the lore deepens with this guy. Here's Jake Shields saying it's anti-Semitic to notice all 5 of the Jews who participated in the war games were late to work on September 11th, 2001. We talked about how he's late for work in the past, or on 9/11 particularly, on one of the most lucky days. Apparently, this is the only day he ever took his kid to school, at least that time. Maybe he did later at some point. It's the only one we know of. Here's Richard Gage. It says the odds of surviving 9/11 for all Cantor Fitzgerald employees, that's the business he had, 31.5%. Now, Cantor Fitzgerald employees who participated in the 1998 Economic Security War Game with the U.S. Navy, 100%, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Cantor Fitzgerald workers who participated in this war game, former Navy's 4-star Admiral William Bud Flanagan, Senior Managing Director, survived 9/11 due to being late for work. Howard Lutnick, CO, survived 9/11 due to being late to work to take his son to kindergarten. Kent Carozin, Managing Director, survived 9/11 due to being late to work to vote in the New York primary election. Phil Ginsburg, Chief Economist, survived 9/11, reason unknown. Lisa Schwartzman survived 9/11, reason unknown. So just all these people, once again, so if you worked for Lutnick's business that was in one of the towers, I forget which one. So assuming everybody went into work, they all would have died, just to make that very clear. But now if you just so happen to be an employee there's a 31.5% chance that you were going to survive it. But like I said, once again, if you were part of that 1998 war game with the Navy, you're 100%. Every single one of them survived. Also, Lutnick's sister survived. So here's from People magazine. It says 15 years ago, Edie Lutnick was a lawyer with an office on the 101st floor of the World Trade Center. Early in the morning, September 11th, 2001, Lutnick had a breakfast appointment with a client who canceled at the last minute. I didn't come in, Lutnick tells people. I went back to bed. That canceled appointment saved her life. A plane struck the tower that morning, and no one on Lutnick's floor, where the offices of the brokerage firm Cantor Fitzgerald began, made it out alive. A whole bunch of coincidences stacking up over and over and over again. And it doesn't stop there. I know many people have talked about before when it came to 9/11 particularly, like you can look at the stock market and go, wow, look at all these people that made lots of money off 9/11 and seemingly were borderline prophetic in their economic predictions. Well, here's Sam Parker saying, given the scheme he just pulled with the tariffs, what are the odds that Howard Lutnick was one of the airline short sellers on 9/11? And then funny enough, it's pretty hilarious. He says that. He goes, holy smoke, my tweet below about Howard Lutnick short selling 9/11 airline stocks is pure conjecture. After doing some digging, it turns out Cantor Fitzgerald was buying big airline puts in the run-up to 9/11 based on tips from the firm being run by Buzzy Krongard, who was then appointed deputy director of the CIA. What the fuck? So let's watch this together. Here's a clip, I guess kind of expounding on this a little bit. Give me a moment because, of course, StreamYard's being glitchy. And we are back. All right, let's play this.
Of course, when you trade options, you have to do it through a broker. That these trades were done at Alex Brown, which is a firm not too far from the CIA, who was run by Buzzy Krongard. When I was working at Alex Brown, he was leading up the firm. He then took a job as the deputy director of the CIA under George Tenet during the events of 9/11. So here you have a firm in Baltimore where the trades were done that was run by the guy who's now the deputy director at the CIA. When I was talking to Cantor Fitzgerald brokers and bankers in the days leading up to 9/11, they themselves were buying these airline puts. They told me, based on rumors that were coming out of Alex Brown associated with Buzzy Krongard. So this looks to me as if CIA insiders knew enough about what was going on, but chose to make money rather than blowing the whistle.
Moving on. Now we'll get a little bit more in the Epstein stuff, and these are different people. We're kind of looking at Ghislaine here, but seems like there might be a little bit of a connection if one can jump from one dot to the other, just like so. Here is I'm not gonna even try to prepare you for this one. This is a fun one. This is between Thomas Mulligan and was Thomas Mulligan, Mike Citrick are in this thing. Also Jeffrey Epstein's in this thread. Ghislaine as well. So it'll be a little bit hard to track who's saying what, but whatever, we'll try. This is from Thomas Mulligan to Tony Knight and Mike Citrick. Subject query from London Telegraph says John Swain of the Telegraph, redacted, dug up old flight records showing that in November 2000, Epstein's plane landed twice at RAF, that means Royal Air Force, so that's English military bases, once at RAF Mareham and once at RAF Horsham. His questions: how did Epstein get permission to land at military bases? Did anyone, namely Prince Andrew, help him get permission? And then he kind of gets forwarded. It gets, and then it's says now Ghislaine, after it gets forwarded back and forth from a few different people, says, I think that's crap and not true, and you should say so. And then now here's from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine, GMAX, I guess is what it says here. It says, just spoke to Larry. It's true. And then here's Ghislaine. She goes, shit, ... And that's the email. So this is planes going, little old Lolita Express going to military bases in England, and then more kind of expanding on this idea a little bit more. Here is apparently Ed Epstein invited Ghislaine Maxwell to join a 9/11 shadow commission. Now I don't know who this Ed Epstein guy is. I don't know if maybe it's a relative. But here he is. It's literally an email to Ghislaine Maxwell. It says, any interest on being in the shadow commission on 9/11? The membership list is secret. By the way, I think one of you guys brought this up to me before, and I've heard it being talked about elsewhere too. Apparently there's a gigantic gap in files essentially around the time period of 9/11. So interesting. And those ones are the ones not being released. And then more in this 9/11 vein. Kalani Pingosh here saying, come on, man, you can't do this to us. It's too much. Well, what is he talking about here? Well, here you go. This is from Redacted to Redacted. So obviously to Ghislaine, though, since the subject says, hi, Ghislaine. Once again, who the fuck is this and why are they being redacted? I want to know this, now. Well, I guess there's an Amanda, it says at the bottom, but getting a little ahead of myself. It says, hi, Ghislaine. I was thinking about you last night because I was wondering if you'd been in flight school with any of the terrorists. Now, this was in, July? No, not July. September. I'm retarded. So this is actually, I don't know why I struggled to figure out what month that was, but 9, so that's September 9, 76 days after 9/11. 6 days after 9/11. I mean, maybe this is a goof, maybe it's a joke. I mean, I know I got in some trouble from some people for making a too early joke about Charlie Kirk a while back. I guess I'm a little bit, I don't like sacred cows. I'll joke about anything, but I know this is 6 days after 9/11. The world was pretty worked up about it, and it doesn't really seem all that funny either. But okay. So once again, let's start over. Hi, Ghislaine. This is 6 days after 9/11. I was thinking about you last night because I was wondering if you'd been in flight school with any of the terrorists. We are well, thanks. We went out to East Hampton for a few days to forget about all the sadness and fear in New York City. I think it worked pretty well. I feel ready to carry on with life today. Would love to see you when you get back from Florida. XO Amanda. Which, that's relevant because that's where they conducted flight school. So, I don't know, maybe it's some inside joke, something like that, but, yeah, 6 days after 9/11, they're just making big old LOLs about her going to flight school with the terrorists after being invited to be in a 9/11 shadow commission. She is in Florida. I mean, we also got the Lolita Express going to military bases. We have other people connected to this network, like Howard Lutnick, whose business is just magically, seeming to be a prophetic economic individuals. They also just happen to be lucky as fuck and not show up in the right place. And they're also corrupt as hell and, orchestrating our financial situation or our financial situation to their benefit, despite fucking us over. So, that's the long and short of it. I mean, the elites, there are monsters among us, and there are also Austin Tucker Martins among us. So, yeah, wow. A lot today. All right, let's roll through the chat. And then we're going to get out of here. I know, every day I get more and more schizophrenic, and I haven't even really covered the crazy stuff yet. Some of the more occult, some of the more, pizza, grape soda, shrimp, jerky, and still, despite all that, holy fucking shitballs. But man, with that, guys, let's roll through the chat one last time. We'll get out of here. I have a fun outro for you guys today. I think you'll like it. Good morning, Black Eye. Good morning. Glad to see you showing up here from across the pond. Gerald says, guess what floor Cantor Fitzgerald was on in the World Trade Center? I have no idea. I will keep an eye out in the chat to see if you answer, though, because I am curious. Alien Big Cat says, biggest elite crime ever. Gerald Hall says, I wonder if Gary Pollard is related to Sidney Pollard, who's a spy for Israel, did 30 years and gets pardoned by Trump. Yeah, it's not Sidney. Jonathan. Yeah, there you go. I was like, what are you talking about, Sidney? Jonathan Pollard. Yep. Comet, huh? Says Bug Fights. Yeah, isn't that weird? Which I'm pretty sure Epstein had some odd connections to. I'm pretty sure, I think it was the Comet Trust that had something to do with that Iranian embassy that I bring up a lot, too. So I forget. I need to look into that. I need to dig into that one again because this Comet stuff comes up a lot. This is a entity that this network was using clearly quite frequently. Alien says Maxwell free. I heard a rumor. Yeah, I mean, there's that one. I seen that one video that's doing the rounds. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, this video of Ghislaine in real life." It's been admitted to be a deepfake. So, here, Gerald. I got ahead of myself. Here's Gerald says there's a video in Canada that was released by a dude who does deepfakes and said it was a deepfake. Said, but I don't know. I think it's there. Well, I guess maybe it could have been a deepfake guy, and it also was real. I don't know. I guess that would be the way to kind of revelation of the method to get it out there. If you're getting too schizo with it, I guess. I think it's just bullshit, honestly. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if she's actually out there, but I don't think she's just... You said it was in Canada, right? I don't think she's just chilling in Canada. I mean, I think she'd fucking be a little smarter than that. I don't know. I mean, what do I know, though? What do I know? But with that, guys, let's get out of here. If you listen to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well. You can find it. That's at Tower Gang Jose on Twitter. And you want to support the show in the best way you can. You can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Got the QR code here if you want to use that. You get access to early episodes there. I got like 7 behind the paywall or something crazy right now. So plenty for you guys to dig into. I've been really bad about releasing to the public recently. I usually only keep about 4 behind there. So I'm spoiling you guys right now. I usually do about 1 to 2 of those per week, the paywalled episodes. You also get access to the ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram. You get access to pre-show, post-show, and video. And you get access to the video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I also give a big shout-out to my sponsors, which is the highest level of my Patreon. Every episode is a big thank you for their support. I'm my previous co-host and Tower Gang at Learn to Toad, also at Brigade D's, at COVRCK, at _Vizil, Tim Tull, at John Klebo, big fan of the show at Torm, or it's not an at, big fan of the show Torme, at Wayne Tacos, Want to Hear Car for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Wintergrad of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. And with that, guys, enjoy this funny outro. I hope you think it is funny as well. I hope to see you guys tomorrow when I'm here around 11 a.m. Eastern doing this all over again. Also, to remind you guys, a little shout out to the producers that help make this show. There's a lot of you guys out there, and an invitation for the rest of you if you would like to do that as well. If you're hanging out on Twitter, if you ever see anything that seems to fit with the vibe of the show, whether that be foreign policy, whether that be the icebreaker content we do, whether that be one of our segments or even one of our outros that we do, if you feel like that would fit to the vibe of the show, tag me in it at Tower Gang Jose. and then you guys become a producer of the show and help create the content for the show, because I am but one man, and I try not to spend too much time on Twitter. But with that, guys, enjoy this outro. I will see you guys tomorrow around 11 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to hit that like button, all those good things. We'll see you on the next one.
Just got off the phone with the aliens, and they really like me. I have a great relationship with them, but I wish I didn't FaceTime with them because they were really nasty looking, and I made some unpleasant jokes, but I think they like me. We have a deal like you wouldn't believe that's about to happen. I found out they have oil like you wouldn't believe. They don't even touch it. They told me, you're crazy for using oil. I said, you're crazy for not using oil. What's wrong with these aliens? You know, you think aliens would be smarter than us, but apparently they're not, because all they wanted for the oil, think of this, all they wanted for the oil is Marco Rubio. I guess he has some kind of special lineage. They really want Marco Rubio. They love him. And I thought, that's fantastic. Look, Marco's not going to be happy about it, but one person for trillions and trillions of barrels of oil, you have to do it. So Marco's not going to be too happy about it, but he's probably already on his way. I made the phone call. Just got off the phone with the